Right. So today, we're going deep, really deep into the brain.
Oh, yeah.
And how it connects to something, well, I think pretty personal, your religious experience.
Fascinating stuff.
We're using this article, which part of the brain make people religious? Kind of as our jumping off point.
Okay.
But look, we're not trying to like reduce faith down to, just neurons firing. Right.
Of course not.
It's about appreciating this connection
Yeah.
between like what's happening up here and these spiritual moments that we experience.
It's a really cool intersection of science and spirituality.
It really is.
Like for centuries, people have been wrestling with these questions of faith and meaning, and now we're actually starting to sort of peek under the hood a little bit.
Like we're getting a backstage pass to how it all works.
Exactly.
Now, I think a lot of us have heard about this like God spot in the brain.
Right.
Like there's just one place, you flip a switch, and boom.
Yeah.
Religious feelings.
Yeah, it's a common misconception.
Okay, so
It's a little more complicated than that.
Okay, so is that even real?
Not really, no. I mean, think of it more like a whole electrical grid.
Right.
Instead of just one light switch.
Okay.
It's the interplay of a bunch of different brain regions all working together.
Okay, so no magic button for instant enlightenment.
No, I wish.
Yeah, right. That would be
Maybe someday.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So, okay, if it's not just one spot,
Right.
let's start breaking it down.
Yeah.
Where do we even start with this neural network?
Well, a good place to start would be the temporal lobes.
Okay.
They're these, areas on the sides of your brain.
Okay.
And they do a lot of things, but one of their main jobs is memory and processing sounds.
All right.
But get this, they also hold kind of a key to understanding spiritual experiences.
Wait, so the same part of my brain that remembers like song lyrics is somehow connected to like my sense of the divine.
It is.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And the reason is the temporal lobes are also involved in processing abstract concepts and emotions.
Okay.
Think about that feeling of awe when you look at a starry sky, or that sense of peace when you're praying.
Yeah.
Well, your temporal lobes are active.
Okay.
They're helping you connect those emotions to a larger meaning.
So it's kind of like they're translating these raw feelings into something spiritual.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all kind of fits together.
Yeah, and there's actually some pretty interesting research about this. They've found that stimulating the temporal lobes can sometimes trigger, feelings of a divine presence, even mystical visions.
Hold on. You can make someone feel closer to God by stimulating their brain?
Yeah, it sounds like science fiction, but
It does.
But it's true. There are documented cases, particularly people with temporal lobe epilepsy, where they report like intense spiritual experiences during their seizures.
Wow.
And it really shows you just how powerful this part of the brain is in shaping how we see the world, including, the spiritual side of things.
Yeah. So does that mean everyone who's religious
no.
has something like
No.
unique going on in their temporal lobes?
No, not necessarily.
Right.
I mean, those are more like extreme examples that kind of help us understand the brain's role.
Okay.
But the main point is that for all of us, the temporal lobes are really important for processing these complex emotions and abstract ideas that are at the core of religious belief.
So it's not just about like feeling something.
Right.
It's about
making sense of those feelings.
Yeah. In a spiritual context.
Yeah. But faith isn't just about emotions, right?
No, not.
And abstract ideas.
No.
It's a lot of thinking involved.
Oh, yeah.
Reflecting. Where does that fit into this brain map?
Well, for that, we need to look at another part of the brain.
Okay.
The prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
You can think of it like the command center of your brain. It's right behind your forehead.
Right.
And it's where like higher order thinking happens.
Oh, wait.
Planning, decision making.
Okay.
And wrestling with those big existential questions.
So when I'm like really thinking about the meaning of life or, what my faith means for my day-to-day decisions, that's my prefrontal cortex doing its thing.
That's it.
Like it's working hard.
So the prefrontal cortex helps us internalize those religious teachings and apply them to our lives.
Exactly. And it also allows us to, make moral judgments
based on our beliefs, even when those decisions are really difficult.
So like choosing to forgive someone who's hurt you, even when it's like really hard.
That's a great example.
That struggle between what you feel like you should do and what you believe.
Yeah, that tension. Yeah, that's happening in the prefrontal cortex.
Wow.
Yeah, it's where those beliefs and values are weighed against, like our emotions and impulses. And importantly, it lets us believe in things that we can't directly see or touch. Like an unseen God or an afterlife. It's the part of our brain that allows faith to go beyond the tangible world.
It really shows how complex faith is.
It is.
So it's this this dance between our emotions, our beliefs, and just our capacity for deep thought.
Yeah, and there's another key player in this dance that we can't forget about.
Okay, who's that?
The limbic system.
Okay, the limbic system.
Yeah, that one's not as familiar to me.
All right, well, this one's all about emotions.
Okay.
It's buried deep inside your brain. And it controls feelings like love, fear, joy, and that feeling of belonging we all want. And it's tied in really closely with our religious experiences.
Really?
Think about those times during like a religious service when you're just overwhelmed with a sense of connection to something greater than yourself. That's your limbic system firing on all cylinders.
So it's like adding that.
It's adding the emotional punch.
Yeah, that emotional punch.
Yeah, the visceral feeling to our spiritual experiences.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see how these different parts of the brain are all working together.
They are. They're all connected.
Yeah.
And the limbic system, it doesn't just make us feel things. It also helps us form attachments and loyalties. Think about religious rituals, like singing hymns together. Or taking pilgrimages, even just, bowing your head in prayer. When we do these things with other people, it triggers those powerful feelings of love, peace, and unity in the limbic system.
Wow.
They create that sense of belonging. That's so important in many religions.
And it makes you realize that those rituals pass down.
They're not just symbolic. They're tapping into something deep within our brains. Forging those bonds of community and faith.
It's not just an external action.
It's not. It's shaping our inner world, our emotional landscape. By activating this really powerful system in our brains.
That's incredible. So we've gone from the temporal lobes, making sense of, awe and wonder, to the prefrontal cortex grappling with these big questions. And now the limbic system bringing in this
the emotion.
This surge of emotion and connection. It's like we're building a neural orchestra.
That's a great way to put it.
Of religious experience.
It is. And we're not even done yet.
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
Oh, this is exciting.
There are more instruments in this orchestra.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what they are.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Okay, so ready for another instrument in our brain orchestra?
Hit me with it.
All right, this one's called the parietal lobe.
Okay, the parietal lobe?
Yeah, it's toward the top of your head.
Right.
And it might not seem like obviously connected to spirituality, but it's really important for those feelings of transcendence.
Okay, so the parietal lobe, I thought that was more about like our sense of self. And
you got it.
Like spatial awareness, knowing where we are in the world.
Exactly.
How does that connect to like something as abstract as spirituality?
Well, that's what makes it so interesting.
Okay.
So the parietal lobe helps define, like our boundaries, our sense of being separate from everything else.
Okay.
But here's the wild part. During deep meditation or prayer, the activity in this area actually goes down.
Wait, so the part of my brain that defines me gets quieter when I'm deep in prayer or meditation.
Exactly.
What happens then?
Well, it shifts things.
Okay.
See, this decrease in activity in the parietal lobe
is
thought to be part of what causes those feelings of transcendence, losing yourself in something bigger.
Okay.
It's like the line between you and the divine kind of blurs, and you get that feeling of oneness with the universe that a lot of spiritual traditions talk about.
So it's like my brain is quieting that part that's constantly saying, this is me, and that's everything else.
Exactly.
And it's allowing me to experience like
a deeper connection.
Yeah, a deeper connection to something beyond myself.
To something bigger,
That's pretty amazing.
It is pretty mind-blowing.
It makes me think about those times when I've I've felt that sense of oneness, like with nature or a deep connection to something bigger.
Yeah.
Maybe those feelings weren't just emotional,
Right.
but also rooted in how my brain is actually structured.
That's it.
That's wild.
It's like the structure of our brains is playing a role in these experiences.
Wow.
And it's not about, debunking those experiences or saying it's just biology.
Yeah.
It's about adding another layer of wonder
Yeah.
to something that's already really meaningful.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this interplay between the temporal lobes, the prefrontal cortex,
Right.
the limbic system.
Yeah.
Now we've got the parietal lobe, all contributing to these different parts of religious experience.
Yeah, like pieces of a puzzle.
It's like a recipe.
Yeah, a recipe.
Where each ingredient brings something unique.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like any good recipe, there's a secret ingredient.
Ooh, okay, I'm intrigued. What's the secret ingredient?
Neurotransmitters.
Neurotransmitters.
Yeah, they're like little messengers that let brain cells talk to each other.
Okay.
And they have a huge impact on how we feel and experience the world, even our spiritual lives.
Okay, so neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
I've heard of them in relation to mood, like happiness.
Yeah, for sure.
But how do they play a role in this whole religious experience thing?
Okay, well, think about that feeling of peace or joy that often comes with, prayer or meditation or going to a religious service.
Yeah, I get that.
Those feelings, they're not just psychological.
Okay.
They're rooted in brain chemistry.
Oh, wow.
And one of the big players here is dopamine.
Dopamine.
Yeah, you've probably heard of it.
Yeah, it's the reward, pleasure.
It is. It's the feel-good chemical.
Yeah.
So when you're feeling that surge of joy during a spiritual practice, your brain is releasing dopamine.
Wow, so it's like my brain is rewarding me.
It is. For
engaging in these activities.
It likes it.
That's fascinating.
And it's not just dopamine, there's also serotonin.
Okay, serotonin, that's mood regulation, right?
That's it. It helps with mood and a sense of well-being.
So it's this combination of dopamine and serotonin.
It is. It's a powerful duo.
That's creating that sense of peace and joy.
Yeah, it's like your brain is bathing itself in happy chemicals during these spiritual practices.
That's amazing.
It helps explain why religious practices are often linked to a feeling of calm and well-being.
Right. It's not just some abstract belief.
No, it's having a real physical effect on your brain.
This is incredible. We've gone from looking at these different brain regions to now like understanding the chemicals.
The chemical symphony.
Yeah, the chemical symphony.
That's happening at a microscopic level.
It's like zooming in on this beautiful tapestry.
I love it.
And realizing how intricate it all is.
It is. It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
And it shows us that our spiritual experiences, they're not just, emotions and thoughts.
Yeah.
They're also this complex dance of chemicals and neural activity.
But even with all this scientific understanding, I mean, we can't fully explain spirituality.
No, we can.
Just by looking at brain scans and neurotransmitters, can we?
It's true. Neuroscience gives us some really valuable insights.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that there are limits to a purely scientific view.
Okay.
A lot of religions talk about the soul.
Yeah.
This concept that goes beyond the physical brain.
Right.
And maybe that's a piece that science hasn't figured out yet.
So are you saying that the brain is like the tool?
Maybe. Yeah.
But the source of spirituality could be somewhere else.
It's possible.
Something beyond what we can currently understand scientifically.
It's a question worth asking. The brain might be how we experience the divine, but not necessarily where it comes from.
Okay.
Think of like a radio receiver.
Okay.
It can pick up radio waves and turn them into music.
Yeah.
But it doesn't create the music itself.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So it's like our brains are these finely tuned receivers.
Exactly.
Picking up signals from a realm.
Yeah, from somewhere beyond.
That we don't quite understand yet.
It's a mystery.
It makes you wonder what other mysteries are hidden in our own consciousness.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
Or just scratching the surface of understanding this connection between the brain and spirituality.
So much more to explore.
Oh yeah, so much more to discover.
Yeah, it does feel like we've just started to explore this whole world.
Just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I mean, we started with those, those basic feelings of awe and wonder.
Right.
And then got into the different parts of the brain involved.
The temporal lobes. the prefrontal cortex.
The limbic system.
Limbic system, yeah.
Even the parietal lobe, I mean.
Even the parietal lobe, that was a good one.
Yeah, and then those neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin.
The chemicals.
Yeah, the chemicals.
The brain is a busy place.
It really is.
It's amazing.
So, I mean, it sounds like what we've learned is that these spiritual experiences, which we think of as so personal,
right,
are actually very much grounded in the physical reality of our brains.
Yeah, it's this fascinating connection between the physical and the spiritual.
It's like we've been given this incredible tool.
Yeah, the brain.
Yeah, this brain that allows us to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
To tap into something beyond ourselves.
But that question still remains, right?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, is the brain the source of spirituality?
Yeah.
Or just the instrument?
The tool.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I bet scientists and theologians are going to be debating that one for a while.
Oh yeah, for centuries to come, I'm sure.
So where do we go from here? What are some of the big questions we still have to figure out?
Well, I think the biggest thing to remember is that the brain is unbelievably complex.
Yeah.
And we're just beginning to understand how it all works.
We really are just scratching the surface.
We are. There are still so many mysteries about consciousness, about how our experiences change our brains, and about what we can even know through science.
It's kind of humbling to realize how much we don't know.
It is, but it's also exciting.
Yeah, it is. There's so much left to discover.
Exactly. And as our scientific tools get better, I think we'll get even more amazing insights into the biology of spiritual experience.
Okay.
But it's crucial to keep in mind that science isn't the only way to understand things.
Right.
There's art, philosophy,
personal experience.
Exactly. Okay. All those perspectives matter.
They all bring something to the table.
They do. They all have something to teach us.
I love that it's not science versus spirituality.
It's not a competition.
It's about finding ways to bring them together.
To weave them together.
And maybe when we do that,
maybe then we'll really get somewhere.
We'll discover something even more amazing about what it means to be human.
I think so. So to our listeners out there, keep exploring these ideas. Keep asking those big questions. And be open to the mysteries that are inside your own mind and out there in the universe.
Well, this has been a pretty incredible journey.
It has.
A real deep dive.
Deep dive indeed.
Into the world of the religious brain.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We learned how these different parts of the brain come together. To create those moments of awe, connection that are so central to so many different spiritual traditions.
And I think it's important to remember that even though we've talked a lot about the science, the core of spiritual experience is still something really personal and profound.
Absolutely.
Maybe as we keep learning about the brain, we'll actually come to appreciate the beauty and complexity of the human spirit even more.
Beautifully said.
Well, thank you.
And on that note, I think we'll leave it there.
Sounds good.
I hope everyone keeps thinking about these ideas.
Me too.
And continues their own exploration.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time.
Take care.